Trading Nut, episode 118.
I spoke to a journalist recently and they said, well, we've spoken to an expert who said 95% of traders never make it. So it's basically impossible in a false dream. And, a point that I brought up is how many of those 95% give up everything and, get into a prop environment. How many of those 95% are even building trading plans? They're in here, prepping at 6, 7 a.m. It's that work. That's what separates out the 5% from the 95%.
The market's going to do something. Your job is not to fight it.
The market never, ever runs away. It's always there.
That personal diary of trading will make you a much better trader than...
I could be right about the direction, but wrong about the trade.
Don't focus on the monetary side.
Trying to make too much money on a trade is what I have seen killed every trader.
Your losses offer you some of the greatest insight you can find into your mistakes.
Relax, learn the process.
Candlestick pattern trading is a freaking trap.
Don't be in a rush to become a millionaire.
Let the market tell you what the market wants to tell you.
This podcast is not financial, trading, or investing advice of any kind. What's up, traders? Welcome to another installment of the Trading Nut podcast. I'm your host, Cam Hawkins, and today I've got Sam Kavanagh from KB Trading up on the show. Now, it's a bit of a different show for you guys, right? So, a couple of things. One is he is going to actually talk to us about what it takes to develop a trading prop firm in this day and age. At such a young age as well. He goes through how he develops traders, how he finds traders, selects the ones that he thinks are going to be the most successful for him. And also the other challenges that he's gone through around creating this trading prop firm. So really insightful interview, very different from what I normally do, but you'll learn a thing or two, especially around the trading psychology aspect and what he looks for in a good trader. So that's coming up. Then we did shoot a video afterwards where he walks through a recent trade using volume, and you've got to check this out. Great step-by-step analysis. It's a before and after as well, so we actually see what happened in the market, and he gives a bit of an update in the future as well. So that's over there on the Trading Nut YouTube channel. Go and check that out, or check it out on tradingnut.com. Look, guys, new logo hit the streets this week on Trading Nut. If you do want to go and see what it is, go over to tradingnut.com. There's a new logo, but also it comes with a new merch store. So what does that mean? It means if you want to sport a Trading Nut cap, a Trading Nut hoodie, t-shirt, cup, mug, mouse mat, whatever it is, it's over there. I've got one design up in the merch store, plus the logo and the icon with the logo as well. So go and check it out. It's over there on the YouTube channel. Let's go over there on Trading Nut. If you want to sport Trading Nut merch and be seen by other traders out and about, and perhaps say, oh, I know you're from Trading Nut or a Trading Nut fan, then please do grab yourself a cap or a jumper or something, whatever you want to get from there. Guys, right, so I will be wearing mine next time we are on the show. I guarantee it, because I've got it coming. It's literally just one day away, so unfortunately couldn't do it for this, but that's coming. Guys, more designs are coming as well on that merch store, and I'll let you know when they drop, so stay tuned on Instagram, probably some other channels as well, email, Facebook, and we'll drop it there so you guys can see when these designs hit the marketplace. Now, Trader vs. Trader final just happened this week for season 2. Dovey took out the title with an amazing score. In fact, he got the best score of the Trader vs. Trader series to date, with 30% gained after 5 trades. Nathan had his work cut out for him, did really well. He got to about 21%, I think, at one point, but didn't. I mean, he was really sort of chasing at the very end there, so didn't quite make it. But yeah, Dovey has taken out the title, and the best score for the challenge. If you do want to take part in Trader vs. Trader Season 3, there might be a couple more spots open if you do want to take part in that. There is a form on Trading Nut. Go to Trading Nut, look for challenges in the top nav, and then fill out the form that's there. There's a button saying fill in this form if you want to apply. So guys, that's Trader vs. Trader Season 3. And if you do want to do your back testing a lot faster than doing it manually, then check out my Robot Builders Club. I'm still taking members, okay? So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be taking members, but I'm still taking them at the moment, helping you guys build trading robots without coding. It's a 7-day course. Then you get support to make sure you guys can build the robots that you want to build. It's over there on tradingnut.com. Go and check it out after the interview. But for now, let's get on with it. Let's hear from Sam. Here we go. Whether you're a struggling trader or a profitable trader, our sponsor, City Traders Imperium, are offering you the chance to become a fully backed Forex trader. That's right, get coached and funded with CTI today. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've got Sam Kavanagh here, all the way over there in Glasgow. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're on opposite sides of the world here, but it looks like we've got a great connection, which is fantastic. Today we're going to get to find out a bit about you, hear your story. I know some listeners actually recommended that I get you on the show, and that's why you're here. So I'm intrigued to not just find out about your story, but also dive quite deep into this prop firm that you've set up and the sort of steps that it takes to go, you've got to go through to set one of those up, and also how you develop your traders within that firm. So we'll probably, zip through your story there of how you got started and then jump into that. So do you want to start off with that one then? Yeah, sure. So, how I got started out was simply seeing an advert for Trading 212, the app, on a YouTube video when I was about 15 years old. Now, very, very young. I was in high school. I kind of had this idea that I was going to do, some job involving sciences, potentially a chemical engineer. It's something my father had done. He actually was the manager of a chemical plant at one point. And he always spoke about how much he loved it. And so that's what I thought I wanted to do. I find this Trading 212 app, kind of downloaded it, just intrigued. And then, after a couple of weeks of having it, they pinged me a notification to say that you could trade with a free £10,000, $10,000 account. And, being a sort of 15-year-old kid, I think, right, that's pretty cool. So open up, obviously it's a demo. I didn't know that, although I worked it out relatively quickly. But, lots of just kind of abbreviated names and things flashing and tickers and all that. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I was just kind of randomly, putting on different trades, buying things. I saw Apple. I knew what Apple was, bought some of that. And, like happens with a lot of people when they trade a demo account, the markets are ranging for a large percentage of the time. So they can put on trades in pretty much any direction. At some point, it's going to go into profit. Now, obviously, we can't do that on a live account. You're going to, blow your account, but you've got no attachment to it. I was just playing. And, such is the nature of demos. I end up making like crazy money. I'm putting on random sizes. Obviously, demo accounts are over leveraged anyway. And I end up just, growing this demo account huge, hundreds of thousands of pounds. I think, that's something I could actually do. Again, I'm guessing. But the thing that kind of fueled my fire was all of the guys, who sat at my table at school, they'd see me on my phone and they were like really intrigued by it. That fueled it for me because I liked the fact that nobody else kind of understood it. And I was kind of insinuating that I knew what I was doing. Well, look, I'm making this, I'm making that. Yeah. They knew it was a demo, but they were like fascinated by it. How did you get into that? And, people who studied business, they found it interesting and all that kind of stuff. And that fueled the fire. Then I leave school in the start of 2016 to study architecture, ended up going that route, studying architecture at college and trading away in the background. But I'm actually kind of getting a bit of an interest now. And at this time, signals started to kind of become popular. Not signals groups, although, there may have been signals groups. I just wasn't aware of them. But I was finding like signals websites. So there was forums that you could sign up to and they'd send you emails of trade ideas. I'd started trading a little bit of FX at the time as well. And I was trading, some FX on this app. I was trading these signals and it was around this time I'd got a student loan, started college. So I started using my student loan and actually go live. Now, obviously go live. I'm not supposed to have a live account because I'm too young to have a live account at the time. But I'm funneling student loan in and I'm losing quite a bit of sort of capital trading signals. Now, at some point in 2016, I come across a video by Tom Dante, which is the Stop Moaning and Start Improving. And for the first time since I've been interested in trading, I've come across someone who's not trying to sell me something. He seemed very blunt. He speaks about the realities of trading and he's sort of speaking out against a lot of the stuff that's going on. People kind of painting this false lifestyle, Lamborghinis, villas, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, this guy knows what he's talking about. Now, of course, through watching, any of that kind of content, I start getting recommended, Mark Douglas, Dr. David Paul, Lance Beggs, all these kind of people.
And, through watching them all, I can see that there's a professional side to the industry. These aren't charlatans. These are people who know what they're doing. And they're talking about, finding an edge, finding a system, developing consistency and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I seek to do. So a trader that I'd followed on Instagram had a swing trading course. I'd heard about swing trading. I'd seen people, swing their freedom, as they said, and, they're trading for a couple hours a day, just analysing the charts, putting on some trades, letting it run for weeks and making, shed loads of money. And I thought, okay, that's the way to do it. So I learned a swing trading system. And around that time, there was a lot of good macroeconomic factors coming into play in the markets. I didn't know that, but the market started to trend quite nicely in that period. And having learned how to spot a trend from this swing trading course, prices above an EMA, it's making higher highs, higher lows, whatever it was, I was able to get in line with a lot of trends. And through just very poor risk management, I didn't know how to manage risk. I managed to balloon my trading account. Now, I had started a manufacturing company, manufacturing radio antenna systems at the same time for action sports like paintball, airsoft, that kind of thing. And, these things were selling I was selling insane numbers. These were made to order antenna systems. I was selling between 50 and 100 every other month and making incredible margins whilst at college and learning to trade. And I was able to funnel that money into trading accounts and stuff like that. And also, that's what was funding the education. The student loan didn't go very far. I was burning most of that on signals beforehand. So this manufacturing business gave me that leg up. And as I say, I was using like fixed lot sizes, right? So I'm trading a few £1,000 account. I'm trading like fixed 2 lots, fixed 5 lots and all that kind of stuff. No idea what I'm doing. But as I say, I had learned to identify trends and I got very, very lucky and managed to kind of balloon that account. Now, at this time, a lot of people were getting interested in what I was doing, friends. I'm quite a sociable person, and I was going holidays and stuff like that whilst most people were in college. I was doing a lot of fun things and people started to get interested. So I started talking to people about trading. And as I kind of started to show people about trading and stuff like that, through teaching and talking to people, friends and stuff, I started to find out about risk management and all this kind of stuff. And when I started to learn about risk management, my trading results took a dip because ultimately when you're managing risk correctly, you're not making as much as you are when you're pretty much gambling. So the results were nowhere near as good. And that led to revenge trading and all sorts of, hideous things. But around 2018, I started a trading community, which was completely free, had a lot of my friends and stuff like that in it. And, over the past sort of 3 years, that's developed into KB trading as it is today. Around the beginning of 2018, I bought my first professional trading education. I bought, I think it was Edges for Ledges by Trader Dante. Fantastic stuff. I mean, he teaches a discretionary price action based strategy. That combined with the knowledge I already had, really, my trading went from strength to strength once I got risk nailed and had some decent, foundations in terms of education, understanding why the market moved like it did from somebody who's been in the industry for 20 odd years. It really, took me to the next level. And as I grew, KB trading grew, it developed into a paid service. And pretty much, that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of how we got to where we are today.
Just jumping in here with a quick message from my sponsor, Sage Capital, who provide education software and tools needed to increase anyone's ability to trade more successfully. Perfect for people who are either still learning, too busy, or just want to use professional grade strategies to build passive income. They've achieved high returns with relatively low risk and are available for auto copying today. Go to sagecapital.co.uk and start auto trading today. And so it's funny because I've tried to get Tom on the show a couple of times and never had any success even getting a reply from him. So, what could you sort of tell the guys about Tom as a trader? And you've just mentioned there that it was fantastic stuff. I mean, how, if you had to sort of compare it to the rest of the industry, how does it sort of stack up for you?
Yeah, I mean, Tom is just, he's a really fantastic trader. He's also a very decent guy as well. I've had a good few conversations with him. over like Instagram and stuff like that, a couple on Twitter, sometimes I'll tweet him and stuff. Very experienced trader, as you'll know, by if you look for any of his stuff on social media, you'll see he doesn't live like a very, out there life. He's not like posting stuff about, he kind of keeps to himself. But the way he trades is absolutely fantastic. His education is superb. And, I can safely say, I don't think I'd be where I am today if I hadn't discovered that video. If any of your listeners haven't checked out Trader Dante, Stop Moaning and Start Improving, if you're hitting a rut in your trading, you need to go and watch that, because he's the type of person who, imagine if he was like a coach, he's not the type of coach who goes, oh, you've hurt your leg, just maybe take a break. He's the type of person who goes, do you actually want this? If you want this, go out and get it. So it is a real wake-up call on a lot of points. He's very big on doing your homework, having the data, doing your journaling and stuff like that. And the way I kind of perceive the markets and stuff like that is totally framed by what I learned, from Tom. But, through watching Tom's stuff on YouTube, I obviously got recommended traders like Lance Beggs, Dr. David Paul, Steve Ruffley, and through all these educators, guys who are on Instagram who've been trading for a few years and have a Lambo or whatever it is, but people who have been in the game 20 years, 25 years, people who have ran prop desks like Steve Ruffley, guys who have been there, seen it and done it all. These are the people who, you'll learn the most from ultimately.
Nice, brilliant. Well, so you obviously, I'm just trying to work out. So you're now doing mainly forex, or you're doing forex and CFDs and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I trade spot market. So I trade spot FX. I trade gold and silver, and I also trade the S&P 500 and the DAX. Although, I swing trade all of those assets, but the DAX and oils rather, I trade on a 5-minute strategy. So it's like a lower time frame strategy that I trade those two assets.
Okay, cool. And so let's talk about your prop firm that you've created here and how you went about creating it. So what were the challenges to get to this point where you're going to start this up?
Oh, I mean, the challenges have been endless, to be honest, but pretty much when I started KB as a paid service, there's a lot of people in the industry. It's no secret. There's a lot of people in the industry with paid services that have, ridiculous cars and houses and live this ridiculous lifestyle off of their paid service. And, I'm not going to comment or, sort of rain on anyone else's parade or anything like that. But we knew, I knew when I started out KB as a paid service, that is not the way things were going to go, because I had grown up really bitter taste in my mouth against those kind of people. Again, I'm not going to comment on how people run their businesses, but when I got started in terms of, when I was looking at signals and stuff, a lot of people I knew and had started trading alongside had got burned, really, really badly burned off of people on broker affiliate deals, who were getting CPA commissioned and just living at these really extravagant lifestyles. And, as I say, I grew a bitter taste in my mouth towards these kind of people. So I knew that KB's revenue that it generated, it had to be reinvested into something. And so when KB became a paid service and started earning money, we got our first office, right? Our first office was a 2-man office, and it's actually not in a building not far from where we are now. I can see it out the window. But so we got an office, and it's funny because the office that we took on, our first month was 100% of the revenue that KB generated that month was spent on the office, right? So KB was making about 1K per month. That office was about 1K, right?
Yeah.
So crazy kind of jump. And as KB grew, via social media and stuff like that, we've just continued to scale up the office and our operation so that how much we're investing into the business is very closely matched with how much the business actually generates. So people can actually see it. And this is why a lot of people love KB, because this is what we're doing, right? And it's a kind of a bit of an FU to everybody else. So, myself and Callum, who's my kind of business partner in KB, we had an office, we got a slightly bigger office, and we decided that this is bringing in a lot of educational arm of the business, bringing in a lot of revenue. Why don't we look to try and fund traders down the line? And it's something we'd spoken about. We thought that'd be pretty cool. Trading's lonely, right? You sit in your house on your own, sitting in front of your charts. If you have a bad day, there's no one to kind of pick you up apart from yourself, which is good and bad, for some people. But not only that, you can get very tunnel visioned and sort of blinkered to the way you do things. And there's 1,000,001 ways to make money in the markets. And sometimes a fresh set of eyes can help you with, tremendous amounts of problems. And, I'm a young guy, I'm sociable. I want to be around other people. So FTMO was getting quite big at the time that we were in that old office. We were putting people through FTMO. We weren't getting any kind of compensation for that at that time. We didn't have any kind of affiliation with FTMO. We were putting people through FTMO, and people were earning. It was going pretty well, and we decided we'd like to fund people physically. So we moved into a 6-man office around last August, and we basically started looking for people. We got a few lads who were in our educational community. It's funny, all of our traders have come via our educational community pretty much. But they were in the KB community and they showed a lot of promise, not in terms of we thought these guys are expert traders, but they had the right values. They were disciplined and they were passionate about it. You can teach someone to be a good trader, but I think you can't teach someone to be a good person. You can't teach good values. You have them or you don't, I think, in a lot of cases. So we got some guys on board and we developed what is now in this office known as our senior prop desk. It's the guys who have been with us for the longest, have the most experience and really kind of know what they're doing. And then, as KB's been selling courses and stuff like that, the educational revenue has been effectively getting invested into our sort of sister company, which is KB Proprietary Trading Limited, to build up a pot of capital where we can fund people. So coming into the start of this year, we had 200 applications to work on our prop desk in this office we're currently in. We had 6 spare seats. Of that 200, we picked 5 people after quite a lengthy interview process, online application, in-person interview, and various kind of processes to go through. We picked 5 people, and that kind of brings us to where we are now. Setting up as a prop firm is something I'm going to talk about in a YouTube video soon. It's been so stressful. Obviously I'm a young guy. I'm new at this, at this side of things, taking on so much responsibility. There's a lot of red tape, as you can imagine, when it comes to anything in finance. So spent hours over months on the phone with FCA compliance advisors, so it's Financial Conduct Authority here in the UK, emails back and forth with solicitors that specialise in this to see what we can do, how we can do it, what are the no-goes, what kind of contracts do we need, what kind of insurance do we need, all that kind of stuff. And again, for a young guy, although I've been trading for, 5 years, this is new. All this stuff is new, taking on traders and putting together a training program and stuff like that to help them develop. But, that's pretty much, it's got us to where we are now, just that passion to do it. We had this idea and we just went for it.
Awesome. And so all the traders you've brought on board, they're all Scottish or from the UK?
Well, actually, so I've got a guy moved over from Ireland
right.
to trade with us. We had a guy moved up from England, so he moved up about 400 miles. Again, people just kind of dropping everything. I'm going to go and be a prop trader. And, obviously that kind of dedication to see that, awesome, absolutely awesome, love that. Because it's somebody who's willing to make a sacrifice like that, that they're going to go through a period of drawdown and they're still going to be coming to their desk every morning. And that is a quality that just will take you so much further. If you can be turning up to capitalize on the markets, even in a bad period, you're going to be there when the market's turning in your favor. So many people, they go through a bad period and it knocks their confidence. They start coming in late and they start not doing their prep. And then when the market's turning in their favor, they're just not in the state of mind to capitalize on it, Yeah.
And so you said you had 200 guys that you interviewed or had applied. How on earth do you go through and select a bunch from that? That must be incredibly hard because you could be easily weeding out the guys that are good by accident.
This is it. And for the sake of full transparency, my trading has totally suffered. For January and February this year, trading totally suffered. Not like I've burned half my account away or anything like it, but just in terms of not on the ball whatsoever. People underestimate. I can't speak for other people, but trading takes up 8 hours of my day. I'm in here at 7 a.m. I'm prepping for the London Open at 8 for an hour. Half an hour, 40 minutes prepping. I'm then spending a bit of time with the guys, looking at what they've got prepped for the day. I'm then sitting watching the markets for the first sort of 3 hours, take a break for lunch, and I'm watching it all through the New York, wrap up around 6 p.m., home for a few hours, back in front of the charts for 9:30 for the 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. close rather, to work out what's going on the next day. That takes about an hour, and then to bed, and then up the next day to do it. So if I'm doing all these interviews and going through applications and stuff like that, I'm not getting time to work on my edge, which I believe is essential, that you spend an hour, 2 hours, whether it's watching education or back testing, gathering stats, reviewing your trades, reviewing your journal. You need to be doing a couple hours of that a day. I think that's what we kind of big advocates of, and I wasn't getting any of that in. And it means that if you have a little period of drawdown, it's very difficult to work out what's going wrong, because you're not spending the time analysing your performance and analysing your trades. You're spending the time analysing CVs. So, my trading did take a hit for it, but it was so worth it. We've now got a team of guys who, some of these guys are breaking through to consistency. Some of them are doing pretty well at the moment. None of these guys are professional, established traders, but they've all got insane values. And I just know I have so much belief in them. It's a big thing. If I don't believe in somebody and they don't believe in themselves, they're not going to go anywhere pretty much. But I wouldn't take on anybody that we don't absolutely 100% believe in. And to kind of go off, I don't want to go off on a tangent or anything, but running, it cost us 25k this month, or last month rather, to get set up for moving into this office this month. That's between 26 screens for the office, all the computers, and everything that we've done in this office. It's cost us 25k rather to get set up. Our monthly rent is 5.5, right? Now, none of these traders are funded with our capital yet. So we're actually at a loss for these traders month on month, right? We couldn't do it unless I absolutely 100% believe in those guys and believe that they are gonna make it, and that's why we're doing it.
And so how do you get these guys who sound like they're not even traders, right? When they join, it sounds like it reminds me of I think there's a TV show the BBC recorded with what's his name?
Anton Creel.
Yeah, that one there. Yeah, where he got a whole bunch of
traders.
Yeah, he got a whole bunch of randos in who then had to trade stocks, I believe, and they had absolutely no idea, and they were like looking at the paper in the morning and all this sort of stuff. It was just very weird, very weird.
Yeah, well,
are these guys like that? But obviously, no. You've handpicked them, and how have you educated them so that they can actually have a chance?
So, luckily, these guys weren't like complete novices.
Right. Okay.
Most of them have a year or a couple of years experience, but they've been doing it alongside working another job or in university or something like that. So they've not been dedicating their full time to it. They've got a system and a strategy that they, they're confident in, but they're not producing those consistent results as of yet. So, in the interviews, there were a few people who brought in trading statements. We did ask for that kind of stuff. That was a requirement. You had to have live experience, and you have to bring in some statements. I don't care if, your statements show that you're completely in loss, you're break even, you're making money. It's more about those kind of values and stuff like that. But everybody had a relatively good idea of what they were doing, but it's now just really rounding off those edges, really polishing, those details and stuff like that, to get them to that stage where they are consistent. Because it's one thing being profitable, but it's a completely different world to be consistently profitable. I see them as two different things. You can be profitable at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, but are you having consistent, let's say 2 or 3 weeks out of the month, you're making money? That to me is consistent profitability. And certainly, there's a couple of the lads there Certainly on the senior prop desk, most of the lads are pretty much there. Say senior just because they've been with us the longest, but on the junior, they are getting there, and I have no doubt in my mind that this time next year they'll all be absolutely killing it.
Cool. And so when you say rounding them off, I mean, or like sort of molding them and stuff, what techniques are you using to do that?
Yeah, very. It's simply presentations, helping them establish a trading plan, a journal, and stuff like that. Consistency really comes from, in my belief, consistency comes from what you do. Something Mark Douglas says is the consistency is in your mind, not in the markets. Well, I think the consistency is in, you as a trader. I have a big belief that the trader themselves is the edge, not, the system that they trade. I think you could give a profitable system to 10 people and 2 of them will make money with it. But yeah, so, we run presentations 2 or 3 times a week. We do trading exercises. I have a template for building a trading plan and they're all working through that. We also do like if-then statements, for the strategy. So once they've got, they're also back testing their strategy for a couple hours a day, various market conditions, adding things, taking away, and seeing where they can kind of improve. So we'll, address certain indicators. So here's an indicator I use. Here's a strategy I use. Here's how I manage trades. Here's how I trail stops, all that kind of stuff. Here's how I scale in, whatever it is. And we'll do these presentations and they'll take bits from that they think be beneficial to them. They implement it, they back test it, they generate results and they say, so using this specific thing that Sam does actually brings my strike rate for the year up 3%, or brings my average R up, 0.2 R. That's pretty good. Maybe it, changes my maximum adverse excursion. Maybe I'm now actually getting those really, really accurate entries. My MAE is not going to be as big. All these little things, that are just helping them shape and kind of mold into a better trader. And then once they've got something that they're relatively happy with, which is what our sort of senior desk has done, they'll implement that into their trading plan. And then, we'll review that every month, see if there's maybe tweaks that need to be made. And then the kind of last step in that process is to create if-then statements. So a sheet with 2 columns, if-then titles, and it just goes step by step right through your strategy to the very end, from when you first open up your charts to journaling that trade. And if you can get your system, your trading style almost bullet pointed like that, if-then, your consistency in terms of your approach is going to be bang on. So when the market's in the right conditions for whatever strategy it is you trade, you're going to be absolutely, hitting that consistently, enabling you to produce consistent results.
Now, so is there anything that's blown you away with what these guys have done?
I mean, to be honest, the dedication from the lads who've moved up, huge. But even aside from that, these guys have quit their jobs, their careers, doing what they're doing in pursuit of, prop trading. I spoke to a journalist recently and they said, we've spoken to an expert who said 95% of traders never make it. So it's basically impossible in a false dream. And, a point that I brought up is how many of those 95% give up everything and, get into a prop environment. How many of those 95% are even building trading plans? They're in here, prepping at 6, 7 a.m. It's that work. That's what separates out the 5% for the 95. It's not some, I don't believe in like natural born talent or anything like that. It's people who put in the hard work. That may be controversial. I know a lot of people believe in, people being born to trade and all that kind of stuff. I don't. I think everybody's born, with similar things. And it's the work you put in to shape your mind that enables you to be a good trader.
Awesome. So, the guys that you've got there, if you had to sort of, were any of them brought on board with like a negative trading statement and you've managed to get them into a positive one? And how did that trader's particular journey go?
Yeah, so one of the guys who we have on, I won't name him, but in his interview, he showed me a MyFX book and it was negative. It wasn't hugely negative. But really what it came down from is not understanding the system that he was trading, not understanding when to apply it. Because, you may have a strategy and say, well, this isn't working. Well, is it not working just in this market? Maybe try it in, maybe you're trying to trade it in the FTSE. Why don't you try trading it in oil? or, maybe it's not working for the past 3 months. Why don't you try it on, data dating back to 2008? And then we can start to see, okay, actually it has a negative expectancy. What can we do? So this guy, he's really picked apart the strategy that he, was kind of brought up on in trading. Really picked it apart, added in stuff. We're quite big on using ATR. He's added in that as a confluence for his trading. The period of the moving average that he uses, we've tweaked that. We've started implementing Fibonacci. We've implemented filters for the markets that he trades. So we can say, okay, your strategy, we need a high momentum market for your strategy. So what we'll say is, if the correction comes back further than the 38.2 fib, scrap the trade. We're not taking that. That's not going to be a trade idea. If it's, let's say too close to the EMA, it's not a high enough momentum market, we're not going to trade that. And just implementing a strict filter and a strict criteria has enabled him to now, the trades he's taking, maybe he's not taking 5 trades a week anymore. Maybe he's taking 1, but the strike rate's gone from maybe 40% to 65%. That doesn't seem like a huge jump. Maybe people who don't have as much experience maybe think, well, 40 to 65. 65 is not huge, but 65 is absolutely fantastic strike rate for a strategy in my eyes. It's certainly enough to make consistent returns.
And as a fund, I mean, how are you managing risk across all these different traders and different strategies and markets that you're trading at the same time?
So luckily, we've actually got a great relationship with Admiral Markets. They're over there in your side of the world as well. But here in the UK, they're an FCA regulated broker. Fantastic broker, and because of the capital I had with them, I developed a really good relationship with the account manager and basically discussed our plans, and he was happy enough to have their IT guys build a risk management platform for us that plugs into MetaTrader.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, well, it's beneficial to them if they've now got, I can say, well, we're going to have 12 guys trading X amount of capital on your platform. He's happy enough to nudge his mates in IT to build out a platform for us. It's it's definitely not a completely bespoke platform. They'll have something that they've tweaked for our criteria that we need, and they've kind of made it our version of it. But that's what they've done for us, and effectively this system, it's got kill switches in it for certain assets. It's got kill switches in it for certain currencies. If something comes out over the squawk, there's been a terrorist attack or whatever, in a certain country, I can press a switch and it gets everybody out of positions, and I can get out of all positions. I can get positions in certain currencies. I can control each desk. Each desk is numbered in here from 1 to 12. I can see exactly what each desk's doing and control that and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much how we manage risk. But in terms of exact figures, each trader is allowed 10% drawdown when they're funded with live capital. After that, they're put on simulation, and they have to achieve 3 profitable months consecutively to get back onto live funds.
Right.
That's always going to suck. We've not had that yet, but it's always going to suck. But you can't not do that. This isn't about being somebody's best friend. It's about doing what's right for them and for you as well. And that's something that I'm learning. It's difficult kind of picking up all these things for the first time, but I'm learning every day as I go. I'm no expert at any of this. I really am learning it as I go.
And are there any other things that I suppose like your average retail trader wouldn't even think to invest in, to help give you guys that extra edge? And you mentioned the squawk. Is there anything else that you've got there that you've had to purchase or set up?
Do you know what? Yeah, squawk, absolutely. Knowing what's going on in the markets, having a market awareness. So we'll maybe get onto it later, but I have on my MetaTrader, I trade on MetaTrader. I don't use TradingView. I know that's what the kind of the guys doing that's a bit more modern, but I have 15 markets there tiled on my MetaTrader, and that goes up on my left screen. So I can see everything moving at the same time on the same time frame. Stuff will come out, and if you don't have a squawk or a news service, you'll see stuff come out and you won't even know it's come out. You'll see the markets flying around. You think, what the heck's going on? Having an awareness, having your ear to the ground. If you don't want to get a squawk, you can get like a tweet dashboard. I use one called Tweetin, or you can TweetDeck as well. You can sort columns for news and for traders that you follow and stuff, and you can just see, tweets will come through of news announcements, breaking news. I've got a column for breaking news. I've got a column for DAX specific news and all that kind of stuff. And the squawks obviously playing loud as well. So I would highly recommend people who trade full time get a squawk. You can get them for free online. Our one's a paid one. It's a few £100 a month, but it's absolutely worth it just to be aware of what's going on. In terms of other things, people kind of ask for tips all the time, and a lot of the stuff I say isn't chart specific, but again, it may be controversial. I think a lot of money is made in the stuff that you do off the charts. So it would be a decent journaling system. I use Edgewonk. If you don't have a journal, I would highly recommend looking at Edgewonk. You can really do some great things in there. You can sort your trades in very specific criteria, from your entry type to, higher time frame biases, all this kind of stuff, how many confluences, and you can just check different criteria and see what your performance would be if you change something. What happens if I only took trades in line with the trend? Okay, that's positive, but my overall results are down. So, having a decent journaling system will absolutely pay dividends. It's the only way to track your performance. So many people, they just sit and stare at charts all day, just sit and look at historical market data and wonder why they're not getting it. A lot of the time, you're sitting on a fantastic strategy or system, but you're just messing it up, and you're only going to know that if you track what you're doing very, very meticulously.
Yeah. And what about like guys who are sort of thinking, oh, that sounds great. How do I get involved? I mean, what would you sort of recommend that, steps that they'd take to get involved in a prop firm and get in front of a firm like yourselves or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some fantastic prop firms out there, both online for those guys who want to work remotely. As I say, FTMO, we've put quite a few people through FTMO that are fully funded, trade from home. In terms of physical prop firms, there's firms like Axia Futures, and then there's obviously firms like KB. On our website, there's a simple tab for prop trading. You can fire an application in there. You can just attach it to the thing, and let us know a bit about yourself, and we'll review it. And when we've got spaces available, when we increase the floor size or whatever, we'll be in touch to kind of to let you know what we think, or to bring you in for an interview or whatever. But I would say build somewhat of a track record. It doesn't have to be gleaming. If you can show, if two people are sitting in front of me and one's not got a track record, but he can show, oh, here's my MetaTrader and I've made 100% returns in the past 6 months, and there's somebody sitting next to him who can say, I'm a break-even trader, but here is absolutely in excruciating detail my maximum adverse excursion, my average stop size, the average time that I trade, the days that I trade most, the days that I do the most volume, all that kind of stuff in really excruciating detail. I'm going to swing towards that person because I can see that they're putting in the work. And, that person who's got all these results, how do you know that that's not just luck? If you don't have any results, or any historical data or anything to back it up, you can just show me that you've made money. That doesn't interest me.
And what about would you ever consider working with remote traders, so guys who can't come into the office, and especially in this day and age where you've got the coronavirus and travel restrictions, and even I suppose you probably have to suffer through that yourselves anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely will fund people remotely in future. Right now, there was this I had this aspiration, when I was starting to trade, there was no one to kind of hold my hand. I couldn't sit next to someone and see that this is possible. I'm sitting at home, I'm losing money. I'm in college, I'm losing money. I'm thinking, does anybody actually make money doing this? And you don't kind of, I'm sure many of your listeners have had the same thoughts.
Yeah.
Is this even possible?
Yeah.
I think is this even possible? If you're kind of in a prop firm, you can see people having, something we're big on is at the end of every week, everybody presents the trades that they've done for the week in a presentation. If you broke all your rules, everybody in the room is going to see it. If you made money this week, everybody's going to see it. If you lost money, everybody's going to see it. And so, when I went through that period of drawdown, every single week, all of the lads were seeing me get up there and go, lost £2,000 this week, lost £1,500 this week, whatever it is. And they see not just, how I deal with that, but also my response to it and what I'm doing. It's not affecting the time that I come in. It's not affecting the hours I put in and all that kind of stuff. So they actually really, really see that and see how I deal with it. It means that when they go through a period, they'll understand that it's normal and they'll understand what they need to do. And that's the thing that I love about having a physical prop firm, is that collaborative environment. But no doubt we'll fund people remotely down the line, but I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves just yet. Cool. Focus on what we're doing just now and then see where it takes us.
Now, what about mindset? So keeping somebody's trading mindset and or even sort of, I suppose, helping them get to that mindset where they've got the right mindset for trading. Have you got any special techniques you can share with us?
Yeah, so this is something, and again, it may be controversial, but how many people invest money in their mindset? Everybody's buying technical analysis courses and, all these tools of the trade and stuff. How many people spend that many thousands or hundreds on stuff to improve their mindset? I'm not sure if you're aware who Steve Ward is. He's the author of a fantastic book, The Bulletproof Trader. He's basically like the British Mark Douglas, right? I've actually taken on Steve as my performance coach. We had our first coaching call on Monday. Expensive, this guy coaches hedge fund managers, portfolio managers at investment banks and all that kind of stuff, but he really knows his stuff. I spent pretty much 10% of what I made last year in the markets. I spent on Steve, right? To coach me. And that's me investing in my mindset. He's a mindset coach. He done sports psychology coaching, and then he coached poker players. Now he coaches traders and hedge fund managers and stuff like that. But something Steve's quite big on is breathing techniques, controlling your breathing, being able to effectively trigger a more relaxed state through breathing techniques. But also having, I've got this little booklet. That's my psychology journal. So I come in every morning, I write about how I'm feeling. I kind of deload. At the end of the day, I debrief. So I write down thoughts. When I'm entering a trade, I examine my thoughts. Am I having thoughts? Am I having feelings that are counteracting my trading plan? If my trading plan says, put your stop under X structure more than 10% of ATR away from where you're trading, but my feelings are saying that feels a little bit too tight. If I just pen that down, feeling this, but actually knowing this, okay, so I'm going to go with what I'm knowing, what I actually know. I'm going to go with the facts, not the feelings. So you're just getting that down, examine your feelings and your thoughts when you're trading, because once you break through to consistency and stuff like that, the battle's not over. It then is a battle inside your mind. Learning how to use the tools and how to analyze is a small portion of the battle. Once you actually get that underway and you have a strategy with a positive expectancy, the rest of the fight is against yourself and in your own head. And I'm sure you have experience of that yourself.
Yeah, for sure do. Hey, this has been absolutely fantastic hearing all about how you set up this prop firm, the traders in there. I've got a great sort of picture of it in my head now, and hopefully the listeners out there can sort of understand and get a bit more of an insight into what's involved in this, and how there's some tips in there that can help yourselves out as well. We're going to jump into the quick fire round. There's a few questions here, some of them quick, some of them not, but let's just do them anyway. How long did it take you to go from newbie to consistently profitable?
From when I started actually properly taking trading seriously, a couple of years. Yeah.
What's your favorite entry setup?
A higher time frame level that we've broken up and out of, spent a bit of time away from. When people are starting to forget about it a little bit, decent price coming back into a decent higher time frame level with some sufficient confluence, preferably past ATR for the day, usually can produce a really nice trade.
What strategies do you use to exit or manage trades?
So I'm not a stops to break even guy. Again, I'm saying so much controversial stuff during this interview, but something that was drilled into me by Dante, by Tom, is moving stops to break even is just trading your P&L. So he's very big against that. So I trail stops. That's how I manage trades. I don't scale out. I don't take partial profits. I hold the trade to the target it's going to go to, and I'll trail that stop as we break to new structure and stuff like that.
Do you have a recommended trading book or resource?
Bulletproof Trader by Steve Ward, very, very good. Maybe not specifically trading related, but I like The Winning Formula by David Coulthard, the F1 driver, now F1 presenter. His approach, I mean, when he was in F1, in fact, he still does. He manages his day in 15-minute segments. That's how busy that guy is. God. You know, he's awesome. Unbelievable commitment, and that's why he's so successful.
Do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Oh, not particularly, but it was probably actually trading the NFP it was Brexit news back in 2016 when Brexit was just kind of kicking off. It's fairly new to the markets. And I remember being either long or short the pound all day. I was either long or short, but I was quite heavily trading in a certain direction. And, you know, some of the guys that I was in Facebook groups and stuff with were saying, oh, mate, when Theresa May comes out with this news tonight, this is going to go, whether it was up or down, it's going to go the opposite way. You want to get out of those positions. And I did, you know, I'd done what they said and cut and reversed basically. And when the news came out, it came out in the original intended direction. And, you know, I was trading at maybe £1,000 account and I was, you know, multiple lots long, let's say, and the news did end up being positive and I'd cut and reversed to go negative, and I just, you know, I wiped an account just like that. And it was, I remember just sweating and just, you know, that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's just, oh, absolutely. It's still, you know, I can tap into it so easily, but I'm sure all your listeners will be able to relate to a time where you actually just want the ground to swallow you up. You know, you've worked so hard at something and you just throw it away, man. Yeah.
If you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Journal. You know, again, this is just going to be loads of sound bites of me giving Tom Danny quotes, but something Tom is big on his journal, and he says something like, you know, you'll learn more in an hour with your journal than you will 5 hours on the charts. And I'm a big believer in that. I figured out that last year, so I have 8 setups that I look for in the markets. Last year, if I removed 2 of those 8 setups, I would have made 26% more.
Really? Yeah,
by taking away 2 things. You're never going to know that unless you journal things specifically and have a sufficient journaling system where even if it's an Excel spreadsheet where you can say, let's remove this and see what the P&L does. Let's remove this and see what the P&L does. You know, so I thought, is that because that setup doesn't work anymore, or was it just not working last year? So I really, you know, go in excruciating detail. Let's see how this setup performed in 2008, you know, the great financial crisis. Did it perform well? No, it didn't. So potentially it's in times of crisis, this setup doesn't work well. Whatever the case, it's sitting on the back bench for now. When I see that setup in the markets, I don't take it, but I put on my levels and stuff as if I was taking it, and I track that in a specific spreadsheet to analyze its performance over this year. Yeah. If by the end of this year it's producing a positive expectancy again, I'll start to reincorporate it. But for now, it's sitting on the sidelines.
Cool. Awesome. Well, look, before we wrap up, what's the best way for the guys to get hold of you?
So I have a YouTube channel, Sam KB. You know, I do day in the lives. You will literally see if I'm losing money that week or that day. I'll tell you all about it and how much of a mug I've been. If you want to just reach out to me personally, I'm on Instagram, Sam_Kavanagh. I'll never, when you follow me, you might get followed by a load of fake accounts. I honestly get maybe 5 or 10 fake accounts made every month of me. You'll get messages from fake accounts trying to sell you something. I'll never message you first, but if you want to message me on Instagram and chat to me about trading, I'll make time in my day to help people out. If you're going through a bit of a rough patch or whatever, I'll make the time to help you out. And, you know, even just general life chat. Sometimes, you know, people underestimate it, especially in the times we live in, how good it is to talk to someone who you don't know. See, for your mental health and stuff, there's a lot of people go through, you know, crap times, especially with what's going on now. And sometimes reaching out to somebody who you don't know on the other side of the world and just saying, you know, I'm feeling a bit down. It doesn't have to be about trading. I'll chat to you if you want to chat, you know, and it can really go a long way. So, you know, if you want to get me on Instagram, that's how you can get me.
Cool. Look, a big thank you to Sam for sharing with us today everything we discussed here, along with all the links are in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Sam in the search box on tradingnut.com. Until next time, wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. All right, folks, there we go. Interview done and dusted with Sam. Now, do remember we did shoot an amazing video after this. Go and check it out on the YouTube channel or on tradingnut.com. And whilst you're there, check out the logo, check out the new merch store, and you may as well check out my Robot Builders Club if you want to fully or semi-automate some of your trading. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one.